got another 12 bar blues jam today. This one's with Kirk Fletcher. And again, this is mixing up some chords with some lead licks in between. It's in the key of C, so it's mixing major and minor pentatonic. I'll play the video all the way through and then we'll break it down lick by lick with the tablature.
For an example would be something like
Very cool. So we're in the key of C. So we've got C minor pentatonic off the 8th fret. And we also move into the position behind that and we're going to mix a bit of major and minor. So let's break this down now lick by lick. So I'll play the first lick.
For an example would be something like
So the first lick, if we're starting in box, you can think of box 1 minor pentatonic, but we're going to mix in a bit of major. Now we're starting off on the B string at the 8th fret, so it's the 5 of the scale. I'm going to go 8, 10 on the B string. And then we're going to come over to the 8th fret of the high E. That's our root. And then we're going to push up the 10th fret, a whole step, to an E, and that is our major third of the 1 chord. That's the major third of C. And then it walks down minor pentatonic, so you got 11, 8, 10, 8 on the G, then hitting twice on the roots, that's a D string on the 10th fret. To the 8th fret of the G string, that's the minor third, and then come back over to the D string, and again still in minor pentatonic, we're going to pull off 10th fret to the 8th, and then a hit on the 10th fret of the A string, that's finishing on the 5 of the scale. So that whole lick slowly. And then what Kirk does, he does this little embellishment to imply the 1 chord. So we're gonna bar. How I do this is we bar the G and the B strings on the 8th fret, and we're gonna hammer in with our middle finger. This is the way Kirk does it as well. We're gonna hammer in with our middle finger from the 8th into the 9th. That's the major third. So that's implying the 1 chord. You can grab this low E on the 8th fret with your thumb as well. I think Kirk just does the G and the B string and hammers in. So this is really like, you know, B.B. King influence stuff. Starting with major pentatonic and then coming back down the minor pentatonic. Finishing up, cleaning it up with a little bit of major. And then what Kirk does, he's going to come into the 4 chord now, which is basically an F9, but he walks into it from the 5th fret of the D string. So we go 5, 6, 7 on the D. Now this 7th fret on the D is the major third of the 4 chord. And then what Kirk does, he's got the major third, and with his ring finger, he's barring the 8th fret, the G, B, and high E string. So that's basically this F9 chord without the root in. And he plays that twice. Next lick. So the next lick, we're in the same position. Now we're going to hammer in. We're starting the lick off the same. We're going 8, 10 on the B. and then back to that root on the high E of the 8th fret. And now we're going to treat this a little bit differently, because remember now we're on the 4 chord. So after that high E root, we're going to grab the 11th fret of the high E, and we're going to push that up a whole step into this F. So that's the root of our 4 chord. And then straight away, so we cut that off, then we do a half step bend off the 11th, and then back to the 8th fret, which is the root of the tonic. And straight away we do a pull off 11 to 8. So this is minor pentatonic. And then we're going to go over to the G string and push that up on the 10th fret a half step into the blue note. And when we push that up into the blue note, we're going to bring it back down without letting it ring back down, just cutting it off. Then we're going to come back down, then we're going to pull off on the same string, 10th fret to the 8th. Then we're going to grab the root, D string, 10th fret. Then we go back to the G string on the 8th fret, that's the minor 3rd. Then back over to the D, this is all minor pentatonic. We're going to pull off 10th fret to the 8th fret, that's pulling off root to the flat 7. Then back down the scale, we're going to grab the 5 of the scale with our ring finger, 10th fret of the A string, and then slide to the 8th fret, and that's put us in the extension. And then straight away, first finger just falls where it is on the 6th fret, and then we slide that in from the 6 to the 7, and that's the major 3rd of the 1 chord, where Kirk plays this G6. So when you bring that into the major 3rd from the 6 to the 7, then you can build that chord straight off that major 3rd. So that whole lick slowly. Hits that chord 3 times. Nice lick there. So now we're still on the 1. Comes back into box 1 minor pentatonic, and we're going to push up on the G string 10th fret a half step just into the blues note. And then we're going to go 8-8 on the B and the high E. Then a pull off, so it's like a blues lick. Pull off 11 to 8 on the B string. Then straight away we're going to push up on the G string 10th fret back into that blues note. So we're going into that blues note, and then back to the 8th fret, minor 3rd on the G. Then we're going to do a stack, G, 10th fret, and then D, 10th fret. And then back to that minor 3rd on the G string, 8th fret. So that lick so far. And then we do a pull off on the D string, 10 to 8. Then over to the 10th fret of the A. And then we stack, so from the 10th fret of the A, we play the root on the 10th fret of the D. And then we do a pull off. I've not shown this pull off on the tabs, but it's you don't pick it, so when you're on that root, you just let go and it kind of sounds that flat 7 on the D. Then we're going to grab the 10th fret of the A string and we're going to slide back to that 8th fret again like we did in the previous lick. And then again, first finger, 6th fret, sliding into the major third of the 1 chord. So that whole lick slowly. So now Kirk moves into position 5. So you can think of this is a bit of major and minor pentatonic. How I like to think of this position is it's the inversion of this C major chord. So it's here. So you've got major third, and then you've got your C triad here. It's your major pentatonic. You can think of it as your G shape, major. So it's going to come in 5/7 on the D string, so that would be the 5 to the 6 of the scale. So that's 5/7 frets on the D, and then we'll grab the 5th fret of the G, which is our root, and we can reach over, and there's our minor third on the 8th fret of the G. So we've been playing the minor third from this side in box 1. Here now we're coming at it from the back, and it gives that a bit of a tweak, and then straight away where our first finger lands on the B, the 6th fret, we're going to push that up a half step and then back down to the 6th fret. And then we're going to go 8/5 on the G, 8/5 on the G, 8th fret on the D, and finish it on the root, back on the G string on the 5th fret. So that the first half, that lick so far. Slowly. Back to that root on the G string, he jumps over to the A string on the 6th fret, gives that a bend, and then plays the 8th fret of the low E, that's the root. So you've got minor third to finish that lick. So you've mixed up a bit of major and minor pentatonic. Not played around in that box, it can feel a bit awkward, so I'd suggest just learning this one lick and messing around with it and sliding between the 2 positions. And then he comes back into his 4 chord and we do the same thing we did at the end of the first lick. So we go 5, 6, 7 again. That 7th fret is the major third of the 4. Puts on that bar, but he grabs the high E, just the high E note, and hits that twice on its own. So that whole lick slow. Last lick. So a bit of a Kirk Fletcher signature lick here. So it starts off 8/10, so we're back in that major pentatonic, like you can see it in the box 1 minor pentatonic. 8/10 on the B, high E, 8th fret, root. And then he comes over and he stings that 20th fret, BB King style, and then slides that back off. And what I do, I like to fret that with my middle finger, but then I mute the rest of the strings with my first finger. So you can get that rake and then slide it back off. And then push up on the 11th fret to the 12th. That's the major third. Then 8th fret, high E, 8th fret B. And then we're going to get the 10th fret of the G, slide into the blues note, back, and then pull off 10 to 8, also on the G. And then we're going to do a stack on the 10th fret. So we've got 10th fret D, 10th fret G, back to the 10th fret D. And then we're going to slide a double stop in, basically into our C major triad. So we're going 8th fret on the G, 7th fret on the B, and sliding it in into the 3rd and the 5th. And then we're going to grab 10th fret D, 10th fret A, so you've basically come up this C major chord, and then Kirk, this is like a Kirk signature move. We've got 10, 10, D and G. We put our pinky on the root of the D, so that's the 10th fret, and he grabs the 6th fret with his first finger, and he plays both strings A and D, and he slides that first finger into the major third. That whole thing slowly. So that's a bit tricky, you're going to have to practice that slowly. You can always finish it off by just sliding into that third, playing the root afterwards with your pinky, or playing that chord afterwards. You can, you can mess these licks up a bit. It's just a nice way to finish a blues. It's got a nice sound. Really slow, that last leg. I'll put the PDF for these tabs on my Patreon page along with this video. Everything I put on YouTube, I put the tabs and the video. It's all free on my Patreon page. So have some fun with that. If you've got any questions, please leave it in the comments. And I've got another 12 bar blues coming soon. Cheers.